So just wanted to come and extend some encouragement. Times are uncertain. We're not sure of how things are going to work out. We're not sure of the path that we need to take in order to help things work out. So I just want to share a quick testimony with you. So at the end of my marriage, my husband left. And we weren't divorced yet, but we were headed that way. And he just left. Now, at the time, I'm homeschooling my children. I've got 4 babies. I'm homeschooling. I've got a 5-month-old, a 3-year-old, a 9-year-old, and a 12-year-old. I'm homeschooling. I'm doing everything that I can do to keep my household together. And my husband leaves. Now, when he left, all the income went with him. I've been a stay-at-home mom for 2+ years at this point. And I didn't panic. I allowed myself to just rest in the certainty that God was going to take care of us. So I continued our daily routines. I got up, we went to the library, we did our research, we checked out books. While they were checking out books, I focused on updating my resume because it had been a while since I had been in the workforce and my little skills was rusty, honey. I didn't know what I was going to do. I'm compiling, I'm updating, trying to get it together. This lady comes and sits next to me. She starts smile talking. I'm not thinking nothing of it. She looks at what I'm doing. She's like, "Oh, you updating your resume?" She was like, "You looking for a job?" And I was like, "Yeah." I said, my husband left yesterday, and so I got to figure out what I'm finna do with me and my babies. And so she was like, "Oh, well, give me your information. If I hear anything, I'll call you." Now, I'm not thinking nothing of this. I'm like, okay, she's just trying to be helpful. But I did not anticipate or expect anything to come out of that situation. She calls me that night. She's like, "Do you have any medical experience?" I was like, "Yeah, I worked for 4 years in a specialty unit in a hospital." She was like, "Have you done trachs and vents before?" I was like, "Yeah." She was like, "Okay, let me call you back." She calls me back. She said, "I think I got a job for you. I gave the lady your information. She's going to call you and do a phone interview." Woman calls me next morning. Conversation is easy. I'm talking about it was like we had known each other our whole life. There was no awkward pauses. There were no awkward comments. She was very organic. She was very authentic. And we both were. Through the conversation, I realized that my aunt is this man's respiratory therapist. Now, this is a private duty situation. And so they paying me cash, essentially. And I'm like, okay. So sight unseen, without knowing me, without knowing, nothing about me, purely on the stock of who my aunt was, her business acumen, her integrity, her work ethic, this woman hired me sight unseen. Now, the schedule that I got allowed me to continue to homeschool my children. And it also allowed me financially with a wage that was going to cover my expenses so that I could still take care of my children, only working on the weekends. So I say all of that to say God has set you up. Everything that you've done in the past is a contribution to where he's taking you to next. You never know when you're going to need to draw on those old skill sets. You never need to know. You never know when you're going to need to draw on those things that he's placed within you that have been there for years. But just know your next season is already covered. He's covered it for you. He's prepared you for it. He has positioned you for it. He has specifically placed you for such a time as this. The one thing that I kept in my mind while I was in that season is, Lord, I know you're going to take care of us. I know you're going to provide for us. I know you're going to work this thing out, God. I know you're going to make a way. You are the author and finisher of my faith. I will not be afraid. I will not be confused. I will not get frustrated, but I will keep my hope and my faith rested in you. And that was what I did. And within 4 days of my husband leaving, I was working in a position that was going to allow me to take care of my family and continue my academic duties with my children. So I share this to say, God has already worked it out. There is a purpose and a plan in place that you can't see. And even when you don't see how it's going to work out, You got to know that he done already put the pieces in place for you to be able to walk into this next thing. He's already prepared you. He's already gotten you ready. This thing has already been set in motion without your input and without your approval. God done already put that thing in motion. Have an amazing day.